You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the corruption detector, and this is your Red Pill news. First of all, in a wonderful story from the Gateway Pundit, boom! Devin Nunes drops a BOMB. DOJ and Rosenstein use unverified Hillary Oppo research in scope memo to launch the witch hunt. This is from this morning when Representative Nunes joined Maria Bartiromo on Sunday Morning Futures. Representative Nunes said his committee can refer people to the Department of Justice for prosecution and for this to be investigated. Rep. Nunes also believes there is now proof the DOJ used Hillary Clinton's opposition research from the unconfirmed and ridiculous Steele dossier in their scope memo for Robert Mueller and his witch hunt of 13 angry Democrats. Rep. Nunes said, "We will continue to compile information. We will continue to conduct interviews, and we will continue to be transparent with the American people on this. We have no idea what's in there. I believe it's very possible they used uncorroborated information that came from the Clinton campaign, and that could be in there in part of what they told the special counsel to do, which would be a major, major problem." Maria responds, major problem being against the law. She is very, very correct there. It would have been completely against the law. Now, we're going to watch a segment from that interview, and it's not this segment, but he said some other interesting things to say, and I wanted you guys to pay close attention. So let's check that out.
Is going to fight. The process of discovery is going to be fascinating in this case, and I can't wait to watch it.
Well, look, in testimony last summer to congressional investigators, Bruce Orr from the Department of Justice revealed that the FBI and justice lawyers were warned about a series of contacts, were warned that the dossier that they were using to get a wiretap on Carter Page was paid for by the Clinton campaign and the Democrats. This very important piece of information has not been focused on at all. Let me ask you about that, because the redacted version of the FISA application released shows the FBI did not mention a connection to the DNC or Clinton.
Yeah, so this is the mainstream media for the last couple weeks, and the left have been ignoring this. I think so. Let me try to walk people through real quickly, if you allow me. So why is this significant? It's significant because for the last 2 years, through press reports and through testimony to Congress, the FBI, DOJ, top leaders have continued to say that they did not have the Steele dossier, the Clinton and Democratic paid-for dirt. They didn't have this until September, October. They weren't sure when they got it. We know now when they got it. So remember, at the end of July, they open up an investigation, end of July of 2016, in the middle of a campaign. They use the intelligence services in this country, and they target the Trump campaign at the end of July. At the same time, Bruce Orr, the top career official in the Department of Justice, is acting like some kind of secret agent, meeting with this Clinton Oppo guy, okay, who's digging up dirt. He's meeting, taking custody of this information, feeding it directly into the FBI and DOJ. So I'm happy that now DOJ is going to take seriously lying to Congress. They're going to go after Roger Stone for lying to Congress and obstructing a congressional investigation. They need to start with themselves. They need to start with the former leadership of the Department of Justice and the FBI. If I were them, if you want to see lying to Congress, I would start with Strzok and Page, two of the investigators that were fired, who hated Trump, did not want to see him elected. And I would also go after the top leadership of the FBI and DOJ at the time.
But isn't it true that two of the members from the FBI who were involved in this counterintelligence investigation into Trump, based on unverified and salacious information from this dossier, now those two people work for Robert Mueller?
Oh, yes, Maria. Very good point that the media continues to ignore. So not only is it two of the people, well, first of all, it was four, two got fired, but one of them is actually the top person, the number two, the deputy, Mueller's deputy, that the press and the left calls the attack dog, the pit bull.
Andrew Weissman.
This is a joke, okay? So yeah, this is a joke.
All right, did you hear that? He said that the discovery process in the Roger Stone trial would be Fascinating. And he says that he's insinuating that we should be getting our popcorn. Now, this ties back into some things I've been talking about over the last couple days. The possibility that this whole Roger Stone thing is designed simply to get him into court so that he can produce evidence related to the WikiLeaks and the emails from John Podesta, Hillary Clinton, all of that stuff, so we can get that information into evidence. And perhaps we can bring some of this stuff to light that we've been talking about for a couple of years now, and even longer than that when you really think about it, but with reference to the emails specifically. All right. Thank you for that report, Maria, and Representative Nunes, thank you for your service. Next, in an article from the Daily Caller, Jerome Corsi says, "I will be happy to testify against Roger Stone." Man, if this guy's not part of the plan, then he's a good actor. Because the way that he reacts and the way that he interacts with the special counsel has been almost bipolar. Jerome Corsi said Sunday that he will be happy to testify against Roger Stone if he is called to appear at any trial against the Trump confidant. "I will be happy to testify if I would suspect to be subpoenaed," Corsi said in an interview with CNN's Jake Tapper. "And I will let the testimony fall wherever it falls. I'm going to tell the truth to the best of my ability." Well, something tells me that the best of his ability is what he did originally, and that's why he got charged. "I'm going to do my best to tell the truth." So not really going to tell the truth, just do my best to tell the truth, without calculation of whom it benefits or whom it detracts, he said. Corsi is referred to as Person 1 in an indictment handed down Friday against Stone, a GOP operative who has known President Donald Trump for 40 years. Stone was indicted on 5 charges of lying to Congress about his conversations with WikiLeaks. He was also indicted on 1 count of witness tampering and obstruction of the House Intelligence Committee's investigation into Russian meddling in the 2016 election. The indictment cites several email exchanges between Corsi and Stone in July and August 2016. In emails on July 25, 2016 and July 31, 2016, Stone asked Corsi to get in touch with WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, who is living under asylum in London. Corsi emailed Stone on August 2, 2016, saying he had received word Assange was planning 2 email dumps in October. The email referred to Clinton campaign chairman John Podesta, whose emails were published by WikiLeaks on October 7, 2016. Special Counsel Robert Mueller has been investigating whether Stone or Corsi had any contact with WikiLeaks or Assange. Both have denied having any such contact, but they have fallen out in recent weeks since Corsi began speaking publicly about testimony he gave in Mueller's grand jury. Corsi revealed on November 27th he rejected a plea offer from the special counsel, which wanted him to plead guilty to making false statements about his 3 email exchanges with Stone regarding WikiLeaks. The indictment against Stone accuses him of making false statements to the House Intelligence Committee regarding those email exchanges. Stone is also charged with making false statements when he denied speaking with Trump campaign officials about WikiLeaks' plans to release damaging information on former presidential candidate Hillary Clinton. The indictment alleges that Stone told senior Trump campaign officials that WikiLeaks had information on Clinton that it planned to release. The indictment also alleges that an unidentified senior Trump campaign official was instructed to make contact with Stone in order to find out more about what WikiLeaks had. Corsi's opinion of the special counsel's investigation has been hard to nail down. He sued Mueller on December 10th for $350 million. He has also accused the special counsel of engaging in Gestapo tactics during its investigation. But in a statement issued after Stone's indictment, Corsi praised Mueller's investigation as thorough and complete. This is why my mind is so blown, because he's suing Mueller, but he's also saying that the investigation is thorough and complete. Well, which is it? If it was thorough and complete, then they would have, they would have found out that neither of these guys lied. Okay, and this would not be going to court right now. So that's why I think that this is all a big school play. Also from the Daily Caller, this is an opinion piece. Roger Stone raid raises questions about Wray among the FBI rank and file. This is a really good perspective here. The video had all the markings of a pre-dawn knock and announce arrest warrant on a meth lab owner somewhere in the United States. There were some 24 federal agents donning tactical body armor and toting long guns. Surely they were going in with overwhelming force to take down armed and violent criminals. Yet, what was CNN doing there, and why were they being allowed to film in such a dangerous environment? In the light of day, the situation began to make itself clear. This raid was not a message by law enforcement to one of the Mexican cartels or MS-13. It was not intended for ISIS or the mob. In fact, it was a visceral message, as former federal prosecutor Paul Butler so aptly put it, sent by Mueller to Roger Stone, former campaign strategist, and his deaf wife. This is personal. To witness the Bureau being hijacked by Mueller's office and forced to flex its muscles in an inordinate show of force against other harmless and purportedly white-collar criminals was perplexing. The manner, timing, resources, and manpower used to effect Stone's arrest bordered on the surreal, and while Mueller and his minions may have been within their right to execute an arrest warrant in such a manner, their indifference to the optics of this reality show arrest is baffling. Former FBI agents will tell you that when they arrested these types of individuals, it wasn't done this way. In their FBI, in my FBI, the prosecutor would have requested that Stone self-surrender at an appointed time and date. Back then, the FBI displayed professionalism and common sense while refraining from malice. What changed? In speaking with current and former FBI agents about the Friday morning incident, 3 questions have been raised and need to be answered by FBI Director Christopher Wray. 1. Why the tactical presence for such a puny threat? 2. How did CNN manage to film the arrest? And 3. Has the Bureau lost its way? The embarrassing jackbooted tactics almost certainly were sanctioned by FBI Director Wray, who, having replaced James Comey, was initially seen by the rank and file as his own man, but now seems to be Mueller's errand boy. Wray has been quick to vent his displeasure to the president, yet remains strangely quiet when it comes to Bob Mueller. A former FBI agent colleague, Riley, pointed out, looks like Roger Stone was a real threat. Fortunately, he didn't attack the CNN reporters who were at his house an hour before the FBI got there. Other former FBI agents feel that the hard-earned reputation and their sacrifices over the years continues to diminish before their very eyes. Regrettably, the FBI finds itself being hijacked for political purposes. The men and women of the FBI who day in and day out come to work to protect the citizens of this country did not sign up for this type of work. Because of the overt manipulation of the FBI and its recent political weaponization, the American public is losing respect for what was once considered the premier law enforcement agency in the world. This is from Kenneth Strange. He was on the FBI's JTTF in Newark, New Jersey, and a special agent in charge of the Department of Justice, Office of the Inspector General in Los Angeles. He is now the president of business development for an international investigative services company. I think that this is great. It's nice to know that there are still good men and women in the FBI, that it is not just made up of holdovers from the Obama administration and the once possible Hillary Clinton administration. You know, not everybody is privy to the inner knowledge and the inner workings and the personal knowledge of Christopher Wray and the Special Counsel. I can only hope that these people are gray hats at best, white hats really, at the absolute best. But I'm just hoping that this is all about optics, like we've been saying the last couple of days. I hope that this is all about optics and that it's just showing people that you cannot have this heavy-handed manner that you deal with certain people and then let other people get off scot-free. I think that normal people who have not been paying attention, are starting to see this stuff, and they realize that we cannot have a Justice Department that is lopsided in this manner, or an FBI that is equally lopsided in its judgment of potential criminals. And in a follow-up from our story about the Arizona Mexican Mafia the other day, this from the Gateway Pundit, Mexican cartels paid off Mexican president with $100 million. Former Democrat claims Democrat Party being paid millions by cartels as well. This is direct reporting on that tweet thread that I put out. The Democrats aggressively blocked the president's desire to protect Americans and build a border wall on the southern border with Mexico. Democrat attempts to block the wall in spite of significant evidence that it is needed indicate there is an unknown reason for their defiance. In May of 2016, U.S. Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi visited the president of Mexico along with other congressmen, including little-known Texas Congressman Beto O'Rourke. Pelosi stated about the meetings, discussing the delegation's meetings in Mexico City, Pelosi said, "We come here as a bipartisan and large delegation to express our respect for the people of Mexico and the country of Mexico, to acknowledge our shared border and our shared values, and to learn more about how we can work together for the bright future for not only our two countries, but for our hemisphere." Pelosi said the delegation had a busy time in Mexico City. When we arrived, we had our country team briefings. We had the privilege, some of us, of going to Mass in the cathedral and hearing the sermon on Labor Day on the importance of workers in Mexico, a view we shared. We've met with members of the American Chamber of Commerce. We had the privilege of hearing new members of the civil society here in Mexico. We had a very beneficial meeting with Director General Zapata on the subject of the economy and the subject of TPP especially. And then we had a glorious meeting, a really very thorough exchange of subjects and views, again, about our shared values and our shared border with the President of Mexico. Just now, we finished a lunch, as you know, with members of the federal deputies, Mexican federal deputies and senators. And this evening, we'll have a dinner meeting with the foreign minister, Pelosi said. Who knows what the discussions all entailed, but since this date, the Mexican president has been aligned with Mexican cartels. As reported earlier this month, he's accused of taking millions from the cartels. Former Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto accepted a $100 million bribe from drug cartel kingpin Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, a witness has testified. Alex Cifuentes, who says he was a close associate of Guzman for years, told a New York City courtroom that he had told authorities of the bribe in 2016. Guzman is accused of being behind the Sinaloa drug cartel, which prosecutors say was the largest U.S. drug supplier. Mr. Peña Nieto served as the president of Mexico from 2012 to 2018. Guzman, 61, has been on trial in Brooklyn since November after he was extradited from Mexico to face charges of trafficking cocaine, heroin, and other drugs as leader of what the U.S. has called the world's largest drug cartel. The timing of the former Mexican president being connected with Mexican cartels is rather significant. A former Democrat believes the real reason Democrats don't want a wall on the U.S.-Mexican border is related to the story above. All right, now this is the gentleman that I had the tweet thread from in my video the other night, Jeffrey Peterson. Jeffrey Peterson says the real reason the Democrats will never support the border wall is that they are being paid off by the Mexican cartels. For anyone who doesn't believe they're all very good friends and quite connected, here's a picture of Pelosi, my former friend Kristen Sinema, and someone else at a baseball game together. It is what it is. With as much influence running up into the system now in the form of direct and indirect Mexican billions, patriots might start to understand the truth about why these two are feeling so much pressure recently. U.S. Speaker Pelosi claims President Trump is in bed with the Russians despite all evidence to the contrary. However, it doesn't appear that there is more evidence of Pelosi being in bed with Mexican cartels. However, it does appear that there is more evidence of Pelosi being in bed with Mexican cartels. Perhaps this is why she adamantly won't build a wall. Lisa Mae Crowley says she should be more concerned about what her president, real Donald Trump, has on her. Pelosi accuses Trump of being blackmailed by Putin. We talked about this the other night. Let's hope that if it is in fact true, that we find the truth behind the Mexican cartel-Democrat connection sooner rather than later. I would have to agree. I feel that this is a very, very plausible thing to put forward. And Jeffrey Peterson, I find him to be a credible witness. I've been following him for quite some time since he initially came on the scene when he first started tweeting on Twitter about what was going on with Nexium. And, looking at his past and the people that he used to hang out with, he was a political heavyweight. He's an entrepreneur. He's very wealthy. And, he was in the mix. So I think if anybody's going to know, it's going to be him. And lastly, from the Gateway Pundit, President Trump is right. Internet sleuth uncovers multiple lies by Mueller mobster Lisa Page. Why is only Roger Stone's home raided for lying to Congress? Well, maybe it's because they already know that she lied. They have everything, and they need to get Roger Stone into court so that he can produce evidence. President Trump tweeted yesterday that the legal system in the U.S. is not fair when only Roger Stone is arrested for lying to Congress. And we don't know that he did. The president notes that many others, including Mueller gang member Lisa Page, did in fact lie to Congress, but none of them have been arrested. The president is correct. An internet sleuth uncovered many lies in Lisa Page's testimony, which was just recently released. We covered that about a week or two ago. President Trump yesterday tweeted the obvious about the double standard in the DOJ and FBI that Obama created. And this was on my show last night. If Roger Stone was indicted for lying to Congress, what about the lying done by Comey, Brennan, Clapper, Lisa Page, and Lover, Baker, and so many others? What about Hillary to FBI and her 33,000 deleted emails? What about Lisa and Peter's deleted texts and Weiner's laptop? Much more. Now, I didn't point this out yesterday, but I will now because it's in front of me. Wiener is spelled incorrectly, just as it was spelled incorrectly in the Inspector General report, where it exposed the crimes against children that we all should know about by now. If you don't know about that, then maybe, say something in the comments, and maybe I'll say something about it in a video tomorrow. The president, again, is right, and we all know it. Yesterday, also one individual on the internet provided support for the president's accusation that Lisa Page did, in fact, lie to Congress. Nick Weil unleashed a series of tweets about the recently released Lisa Page testimony to Congress, and it's clear that she lied. Fact-checking what we have on Lisa Page's testimony. First, we have this. Miss Page saying that other than Bill, Pete, and Maffa, all the rest of the personnel on the Clinton team and the Russia team were different. As Weil points out, Page lists those involved in the trifecta of FBI shams, the Hillary email scandal team, the Trump-Russian collusion sham team, and the Mueller investigation of the fake Trump-Russia collusion made-up crime. That was a mouthful. But Page omits individuals from the list like Kevin Kleinsmith and likely Mike Cortan, Stephen Kelly, and others. The Horowitz report casually mentions the FBI attorney too, Kevin Kleinsmith, hit the trifecta. Page had to have known this. And this neglects to mention people like Mike Cortan, Office of Public Affairs, who might have strategically leaked information to the press, and Stephen Kelly, Office of Congressional Affairs, who stonewalled Congress in both cases. Plus, someone like Jim Rabicki, Comey's chief of staff, was in the thick of both cases, and I still believe Josh Campbell had many secret roles. Josh Campbell, the guy who showed up at Roger Stone's house at 5 in the morning for the raid at 6 a.m. Next one. Page says the point of the Clinton email investigation was about HRC's mishandling classified information, not because it was hacked. Weil then uncovers what started the Clinton investigation. It wasn't that Hillary was hacked or that emails were mishandled. The Clinton email investigation started because emails with classified information were mishandled. This comes from the referral by the ICIG. Let's look at what started the Clinton investigation, shall we? It started based on an 811 referral from the ICIG, and that referral is about compromise of classified information, not mishandling. That's a big difference. In fact, 811 is a reference to a section of the Intelligence Authorization Act of fiscal year 1995, which requires executive branch departments and agencies to advise the FBI immediately of any information which indicates that classified information is being or may have been disclosed in an unauthorized manner to a foreign power or an agent of a foreign power. But really, anyone with a brain knows that foreign countries had access to Mrs. Clinton emails for a long time. Mrs. Page has a brain, so there is no excuse. Remember this article from Politico, Michael Morell, foreign governments have Hillary's email. I don't think that was a very good judgment, he says, of Clinton's decision to use a private server. Mrs. Page is asked about the Reid letter and says she was confused about it. The thing is, that letter contained extremely pointed allegations. It very clearly points to Carter Page, and note that this was before the Yahoo article from Isikoff. Wouldn't alarm bells go off and start to wonder, how did Reid get this info? It's not like Stroke and Page didn't notice the letter. The FBI's crooked Lisa Page claimed to be confused about the Carter Page document surrounding crooked Senator Harry Reid. However, Lisa Page and her lover Peter Strzok were texting about this on the day it occurred. They were chatting about it at 5:30 a.m. Now on to the big one. Mrs. Page says, as of August 2016, I don't know who Christopher Steele is. But Page's biggest lie is related to her knowledge of Christopher Steele. She contradicts the DOJ's Bruce Orr's testimony. She or Orr clearly lied about their knowledge of Steele. This cuts against the Bruce Orr testimony. According to Orr's testimony, he noted McCabe and Page about his breakfast with Steele immediately after it happened. Furthermore, Bruce Orr was apparently Miss Page's direct supervisor for 5 or 6 years. Orr has a long history with Christopher Steele, way predating Spygate. The New York Times reported the fanciful FBI effort to flip Russian oligarchs in 2014, and Orr was in charge of that. Based on the Mueller mob's rules of engagement, Lisa Page should be rounded up at 5 a.m. at her home and in front of her family and Peter Strzok. She should be shackled and thrown in jail for life. Mueller's actions may be overboard, but in the least, Page should be indicted. If not, we have no standard of justice in the United States. Criminals who want to overthrow the government go free, while individuals who want to make America great again go to jail. Well said. I love this article because you could tell when you're going through and you've got Andy McCabe's testimony, you've got Lisa Page's testimony, you've got Bruce Orr's testimony, and looking at all those, things did not line up. When you're talking about timelines, they did not line up. Devin Nunes knows that. Other people in the government know that. I think it is only a matter of time before the hammer begins to fall down on the other side of the aisle. It has to. Otherwise, we are living in a banana republic, and the dictator is not in the White House. Well, that's all I have for you today. I want to thank everyone for joining me. I am Red Pill 78, the corruption detector. If you would like to help out, then I've got some information in the description below. The articles will be in the description below. Good luck, everyone, and God bless.